I stopped freelancing, and here's what I do instead. I've had 11 years of working for myself in one form or another. It started with photography for me, building a brand, growing an audience to over 50,000 followers across platforms, learning what it meant to create something that people actually wanted to follow. That led me into education, so teaching what I knew, which turned into creating courses and digital products. One of those products even crossed the $1 million threshold in revenue, and my email list grew to 100,000 subscribers, over 10,000 students, 200 clients along the way. And that's where the lesson came from. What it takes to build something from nothing and to scale it. What goes into a digital product business, how to connect offers to audiences, how to write things that sell, how to build systems that run without constant attention. Then circumstances changed. The business ended. The starting over became the only option. A job in tech followed for me, production manager at Canva. I left the same year. The work wasn't aligned, which brought back a question that I've been circling for years. What does good work actually look like? Not the metrics, like what should the days feel like? What kind of work allows for continuous growth? Most options felt like choosing which box to climb into, right? You have productized services meant picking one thing and repeating it over and over and over. Niching down meant cutting away parts of yourself to kind of fit a positioning story. Building an agency meant managing people instead of doing the work. Each path required trading away the ability to keep expanding, keep exploring, keep developing new capabilities through the work itself. So building something different became the focus. Subscription, solopreneurship. The model isn't like invented from scratch, right? It borrows from portfolio careers, retainer-based consulting, design subscription services, but it's a specific arrangement of existing ideas kind of assembled into something that fits. So let me break down the model for you. The core idea is that clients pay a flat monthly fee for ongoing access to your capabilities. They get a shared task dashboard where they submit requests, one task at a time, delivering every 48 hours on average. A strategy call once a month to align on priorities and direction, and then communication happens asynchronously in between. There's no proposals, there's no constant scope negotiations, there's no hourly tracking. They subscribe, I deliver, and they grow. High agency is pretty essential inside this container. Clients will provide you context about their needs, and then you can make educated assumptions based on what they've shared and what your experience suggests would be the optimal output. The focus is progress and iteration rather than perfecting plans before anything moves. The one task at a time constraint gives clarity to both sides, so the task doesn't always have to be perfectly defined. It might be one part of a larger project. The point is to drip feed progress and visible movement toward goals without constant check-ins. And the monthly call is where the relationship lives, zooming out from immediate deliverables to broader goals, challenges, and direction. The human connection that pure async work loses over time. You can create plans or tiers for meeting different needs. So you might have more active tasks. You might have a shorter turnaround time. Or maybe you have one tier where I do where fractional management work with embedded talent is included for things that require ongoing recurring execution. The container, the model adapts. So let's talk about the work. The container holds whatever falls within range. So digital businesses need a lot of connective work, and most of it doesn't fit neatly into one specialist domain. Connecting products to offers and making sure that all the pieces talk to each other. Email marketing with sequences that will actually convert. Software and systems that are configured so tools work for you instead of against you. Brand development with design and messaging that actually holds together. Web design, no-code development, content, copy, course creation, digital products, lead magnets, strategy and roadmaps, consulting on positioning, offer structures, customer journeys, photo and video editing. All of these kind of fall within my own realm of experience, but you can see how I've taken all of these capabilities and bundled it into my subscription solopreneurship service. And this is where generalization actually becomes valuable. So traditional advice says to specialize, and there's logic to that for sure, especially for positioning. But within ongoing relationships, sometimes a breadth serves client better than just a narrow expertise. Their business needs don't fit into like one small category. They need someone who understands how the pieces can connect. And the context built over months makes range useful in ways that it wouldn't be for a specialist. All right, let's talk about the clients. The people who fit this model tend to share something in common. So they usually want a growth partner, right? A collaborator, but aren't ready to scale to a larger team or bring someone on full time. Or maybe they don't want the risk of managing someone full time. I've also had it happen where they need a utility player who can handle multiple types of work without hiring 3 different specialists and managing multiple projects at one time. Or maybe they have a vision, but not quite the know-how around the specifics of the execution, how you put everything together, how to design a site and framer, and how to structure a welcome sequence properly, or how to set up systems that actually will work and convert. Or maybe they're just capable. They actually want to move faster. They want to expedite the process. And having a growth partner, someone who can quickly get across context and who can execute alongside them, makes that possible. Essentially, they might be looking for someone who gets their business, someone who understands their goals, their voice, their history of decisions. An ongoing relationship makes that possible. The economics. So working with 4 to 8 clients at a time seems to be the optimal range. Fewer than 4, and I think your income can become a little bit more fragile, and then more than 8, and I think depth suffers. Monthly recurring revenue creates stability. When a client leaves, it's one slot out of several, a reduction, not a crisis, and your baseline can hold. So let's talk about the sustainability for just a second. So you could compare this model to traditional freelance work where it often feels unsustainable, but not from the work itself. I think it's everything around the work. The constant need of acquisition, right? Scoping conversations, the proposals that end up going nowhere, the feast and famine cycle anxiety. I think the subscription solopreneur model strips most of that away. Clients stay, revenue recurs, the container can handle any type of scope and need, and there's no constant restarting. What's deeper than that sustainability is actually flexibility. So scale up when income is needed, scale down when time is needed. The model doesn't punish breaks the way project-based work does. And when the baseline is stable, saying no becomes possible. There's no need to take work that doesn't fit or accept clients who drain. And a container can morph over the years, a vehicle that adapts wherever your life goes. The growth. So what makes this structure valuable is how development integrates into the work itself. Clients bring problems across different domains, and instead of needing a pre-built productized service with portfolio examples, figuring things out happens inside of the existing relationship. Trust probably exists because delivery has already happened in the past, and then learning occurs inside of that relationship, funded by the work applied to real client problems. Right now, the personal expansion of my skill sets is into product design. I've done lots of design work and websites in the past, but the goal is moving into app and software design, product design strategy. I'm actually currently building an app, designing it, and vibe coding it. And this kind of exploration can fit into an ongoing relationship where clients have varied needs and value someone who continues to expand their own skill sets. The depth that develops over time is understanding. Context accumulates. So learning how a client thinks, what they care about, how they communicate, understanding their goals well enough to anticipate needs and make decisions without waiting for permission. The gradual depth becomes part of the value. Spotting problems before they escalate, patterns observed across different businesses. The relationships persist. Each month builds on the last. Building a personal brand. This video right now is the first step in building a personal brand alongside my client work. I think the subscription structure creates stability, but a personal brand can create options in regards to distribution. So a network of connection means that there can be a queue of potential clients. And when someone leaves, starting from zero isn't necessary because you probably have a wait list. I don't actually even think that large followings are required, just actual connections, actual network. People who know the work and trust that it's done well or can be done well, and building that over time through context and conversations and relationships gives something more valuable than any singular client, which is a freedom to choose. And having those options equals freedom. So to be clear, I'm not recording this video from the other side of having figured it all out. This is the middle. This is me building it right now, and it's active documentation, not just a retrospective success story. I mentioned some of my past experiences, but now this is what I'm working on. My name is Cameron. I'm a solo operator. I'm a solopreneur. My subscription solopreneur offer is called Made Simple AF. I function as a fractional growth partner and collaborator. I work across a wide variety of industries, offering anything from strategy and consulting to creative design, marketing, execution, the full range essentially packed into my monthly collaborative partnership. Now, the principles of this model is that the container creates clarity. So you have one task at a time, you have delivery every 48 hours, you have a monthly strategy call. These boundaries are what contribute to helping make everything else work, where learning integrates with earning, where development happens inside of paid relationships, where relationships can compound and trust over time, where context can accumulate, where the depth of that becomes part of the value, where varied work can actually prevent stagnation, where you can have different clients, different problems, and expansion instead of repetition. And then the flexibility of it makes it sustainable. The model adapts to life instead of demanding life to adapt to it. So what's next? There's more content coming about subscription solopreneurship, the mechanics of making it work, the philosophy behind it, and what I'm discovering along the way, including the mistakes. Not just writing from the other side, but hopefully sharing from the middle. This is my first video. Welcome to my journey and welcome to Made Simple AF. If any of this resonated, I just wanted to provide you a few questions that could be worth sitting with. What would your work look like if you optimized for sustainability over growth? Not slowing down forever, but building something that could flex with your life instead of demanding everything from it. What capabilities do you have that you've been told to hide for positioning reasons? What would it mean to bring your full range to relationships instead of narrowing it to fit a box? What's the smallest number of clients you would need to actually create stability? Not just maximum revenue, but just enough that losing one doesn't become a crisis. Where does your income currently come from, and how much of your time goes to finding it versus doing it? What would shift if that ratio changed? What would you build, explore, pursue if your baseline was covered and you had margin to experiment? These aren't questions with right answers. They're lenses for examining what you actually want from work, underneath the metrics and the positioning advice and the templates for how independent work is supposed to look. The model I'm building is just one answer, and there are others, but the questions here are worth asking regardless of where they lead.